We're in Revelation chapter 19, and believe me, this is where everything shifts. The focus snaps from judgment unfolding on earth to the final cosmic verdict, and it's delivered by a returning king. This is it, the final victory.
You really have to think of chapter 19 as this incredible hinge point in the story. On one side, you've got this massive, joyful celebration breaking out in heaven, and on the other, you have the triumphant, almost terrifying return of a king who is ready for war. It is a chapter of ultimate justice, stark contrasts, and the climax we've all been reading towards.
So, here's how we're going to walk through this. It really unfolds in 5 dramatic scenes. We'll start with that victory party in heaven, then we'll look at this deeply symbolic wedding. From there, it's the king's jaw-dropping return, the final battle lines being drawn, and we'll end with this powerful image of 2 very different suppers that seal 2 very different fates.
Okay, so the chapter kicks off immediately after the fall of Babylon, which, as you know, is the great symbol for the world's corrupt, anti-God system. And what's the immediate reaction in heaven? It is not quiet relief. Oh no. It is an absolutely explosive, stadium-sized celebration.
But listen closely to why they're cheering. This isn't just a generic, "Hooray, we won" chant. It is a very specific celebration of justice. The entire heavenly host is shouting because God's judgments have finally been revealed to be true and just. This is vindication for everyone who suffered under that old corrupt system. It's a really powerful moment of cosmic validation.
And make no mistake, this is not a temporary win. The image of smoke rising forever and ever is designed to be powerful and final. It means this judgment is permanent, irreversible. The anti-God system is gone, for good. There's no coming back from this. It is truly over.
But what's so interesting is that the celebration isn't just about defeating an enemy. The focus pivots pretty quickly to something far more joyous and intimate, a great wedding feast. And this is where the story takes a deeply personal and beautiful turn.
So what in the world is the marriage of the Lamb? Well, it's not a literal wedding, of course, but it's one of the most profound symbols in the Bible. It represents that final, triumphant spiritual union between Christ, who is the Lamb, and his people, the church, who are called his bride. After all the conflict and all the struggle, this is the ultimate picture of homecoming, of intimacy, and celebration.
And the description of the bride here is so important. It says she has made herself ready. And her wedding dress, this fine linen, bright and pure, it's not just a piece of clothing. It's symbolic. The text spells it out for us. The linen is the righteous acts of the saints. It's this beautiful idea that while salvation is a free gift, the faithfulness of God's people throughout history is woven into the shared glory of this incredible moment. So, right at the peak of this incredible heavenly party, the scene just snaps. The tone shifts from festive to fearsome in a heartbeat because the action is moving from the wedding feast back down to earth for the main event. And this is it. This is the moment the entire book of Revelation has been building towards. The heavens don't just gently part. They are torn open. And out of that breach comes the central figure of the entire story, a rider on a white horse, the ultimate symbol of conquering righteous victory. And there is absolutely zero doubt about who this is. The text just showers him with titles to establish his identity and authority. He is faithful and true, the one who always keeps his promises. He is the Word of God, the living expression of divine power. And then the mic drop, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. This is Jesus Christ for sure, but in a role we haven't seen before. Not the gentle teacher, but the undisputed, all-powerful, conquering warrior king.
And then we get this image. And it's one of the most jarring and shocking in the entire Bible. A robe not just stained, but dipped in blood. The image is meant to stop you in your tracks, to communicate the sheer gravity and ferocity of the judgment that is about to unfold.
Now, understanding this bloody robe is absolutely crucial. The source material is very clear. This is not the blood of his own sacrifice on the cross. Instead, it's a terrifying symbol of the judgment he is about to pour out on his enemies. This is the blood from the great winepress of God's wrath. It's an image of total, complete, and overwhelming victory.
And his weapon is just as symbolic. A sharp sword comes from his mouth. Now, obviously, this isn't a literal blade of steel. It represents the unstoppable, creative, and destructive power of his word. His spoken command is the judgment. The decree itself is the weapon that wins the war.
All right, so with the king's arrival, the stage is finally set. This is that moment we often hear about, Armageddon, where all the forces of evil gather for one last, desperate, and, well, completely futile stand.
You see all the main antagonists we've met before, the beast, that symbol of corrupt human power, and all the kings of the earth who've aligned with him. They assemble all their armies, and they have just one target in mind, the rider on the white horse and the heavenly armies following him.
Now this brings us to what I think is one of the most brilliant literary moves in the whole book. To show us the outcome of this battle, the chapter presents us with two very different suppers, and these two meals reveal two very different destinies.
This contrast just perfectly illustrates the great reversal at the heart of the story. On one hand, you have the marriage supper of the Lamb, a joyful feast celebrating the union of Christ and his people. But then, you have the great supper of God. And this is no celebration. It's a gruesome invitation for the birds of the sky to come and feast on the bodies of the defeated armies. It's a stark choice laid bare, one feast for the bride or another for the birds.
Now, after all this epic buildup, you'd probably expect a long, drawn-out battle, right? But what happens is the total opposite. The confrontation is shockingly, almost anticlimactically, fast. And that's on purpose. It's to show the absolute, overwhelming, no-contest power of the returning king. The war is over before it even has a chance to start.
The whole thing is just ruthlessly efficient. It's 3 quick steps. Boom, the leaders of the rebellion, the beast and his sidekick, the false prophet, are captured. Boom, they are thrown alive directly into the lake of fire, their final doom sealed. And boom, the rest of their massive armies are defeated, not in a fight, but simply by the command, that sword that comes from the rider's mouth.
So this victory is definitive. It completely ends the war on Earth, cleansing the world of these corrupting powers. And this final act of judgment perfectly sets the stage for what's coming next in Chapter 20, the binding of the ultimate enemy, Satan himself.
But as the chapter closes, we get one last, crucial piece of instruction from an angel. After seeing all these mind-blowing visions, the narrator's natural reaction is to just fall down and worship the messenger. But the angel immediately stops him and redirects his and our attention. He says, "Worship God."
And that final exchange leaves us with this incredible insight. The angel says the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So what does that really mean? It suggests that the ultimate point of all prophecy, no matter how strange or complex the visions might get, isn't just to satisfy our curiosity about the future. The whole point is to point us again and again and again to the person, the character, and the final victory of Jesus Christ. That's the key that unlocks the whole thing.